everyone, and welcome to Business Boutique. I'm Christy Wright, and today we are talking about dreaming again. Now, I've got to tell you, I love this idea of dreaming. It comes naturally to me because I'm creative. Y'all know this. I have 100 ideas a minute. But you know what? I think we often underestimate how important dreaming is to our business, to our entire life, and even to our relationship with God. Now, I've got to tell you, when we're little, like I was, it's easy to dream. We think, oh my gosh, like I can be a doctor, a lawyer, I'm gonna play in the NBA, I'm gonna do these big things, I'm gonna accomplish big dreams. But at some point, life gets to us and disappointments get us down. And practical people come into the picture giving you lots of practical advice, like practical aunts and uncles and moms and dads and teachers and coaches telling you take the practical path and pursue something more stable and pursue something that has a guaranteed path to success. And in this process of becoming oh so practical, our dreams die. We even forget how to dream. We let those things collect dust. We forget how to think big and dream big and consider the possibilities and think of things outside the box. Think of things that are unconventional and, oh my gosh, impractical. But you know what? It's not too late. I don't care how old you are. It's not too late to dream. Now, I know that dreaming is hard. Let's go ahead and acknowledge that up front. Dreaming is hard. It's vulnerable. You're vulnerable because what if that dream doesn't come to life? Then you feel silly and you're worried about what other people think because they might feel sorry for you. Oh, she really dreamt of that working out and it didn't. They dreamt of getting that house and they didn't get it. They dreamt of having a family that looked like this and it didn't work out. Of course, there's always the possibility of disappointment. So you're vulnerable. You also feel a little silly, especially if you're dreaming big, because I got to tell you, we live in a world where this is not celebrated. It is not encouraged. It's take the safe path. It's take the practical path. So when you say you're going to do something weird, different, big, creative, outside the box, you're probably not going to have a ton of people lining up, high-fiving you, telling you to go for it. It can be a little scary because it's different, because it's big. Maybe you think you're too old. Maybe you think it's too late. Maybe you think that it's selfish. Oh man, I've struggled with this, y'all. So often as women, we think of our heart's desires as selfish. Well, if we love it, well, if it's important, well, if we want it really, really bad, it must be selfish. We've got to put someone else first. We have to fulfill our responsibilities as if God created you for Legos and laundry and that's it. Oh no, that's selfish. I can't dream that. It seems too good. Too good to be true. I don't want to get my hopes up. Maybe you've been embarrassed before because you had a dream and it didn't work out and you feel let down. Maybe you think no one will care about your dream. Maybe you think your dream is too big. Maybe you think it's too impossible. Maybe you think God doesn't care about that dream. Maybe you think somehow God is in heaven watching you and here you are with this dream and you're thinking this is selfish. God doesn't care about it. No one else cares about it. So I just need to shove it into the back corner of my mind and forget about it. That's why I'm so excited we're talking about this today, because all of those things are things that can be overcome. And not only can, they should be overcome so that you can dream again. Believe it or not, the Bible has a lot to say about dreaming. I love Psalm 37:4, and I have this scripture at the bottom of every one of my personal emails that goes out. And it says, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Now, this doesn't mean that God is a genie in a bottle and you rub the genie, tell him what you want, and you get what you want. It doesn't mean that. What it means is, as you delight yourself in God, he will actually plant his desires for you in your heart. And then, bonus, he gives them to you. Isn't that amazing? God has a lot to say about your desires, about your dreams. Jeremiah 29:11, I'm sure you've heard this before, but it's worth repeating. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Hope, dreams, future, big things, good things are in store for you. Those are God's plans for your life. You know, oftentimes we think we're dreaming, but we're really playing small. We're thinking, oh, well, I'd be fine if I just have this small little Etsy shop, or I'd be fine if I just get this career, this entry-level position, or I'd be fine if I just made just this income level, or I'd be fine if I got a house in just that neighborhood. When you and I both know you are playing small. You want bigger things for your life. And I'm not saying that all your happiness and satisfaction in life comes from money or neighborhoods or a certain family or a certain business. You know that's not what I'm saying. But the point is, we play small. We play it safe. Why? Because we want to have something in front of us that we know we can control, contain, make it happen. We don't really need God that much. It's more practical. We don't have that risk of not knowing how it's going to work out. So instead, we play small. But you know what? God never called you to live a small life. And God does not give you small dreams. If you look at scripture, some of the dreams he's given people, some of the desires he's given people are massive and crazy and challenging and impossible. That's kind of the whole point, y'all. The whole point is for you to have these dreams in your heart that you can't see how they're going to work out. Because why? Because God is going to stand in the gap. God is going to show up between where you are today that seems absolutely impossible and where you're going to be, where all you can do when you get to the other side is go, God did that. God did that. I could not have done that. God did that. We want the miracles in our lives. We look at scripture. We look at people that have these amazing miracles that happen. But you know what needs to be true for a miracle to occur? It needs to be impossible in between. See, we want the miracle, but we want to see the path. Well, that's not a miracle. That's just a plan you worked. Good for you. We talk all about plans. I love plans. I love goals. I love time management. I love that, and you need that to bring your dreams to life. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today, I'm challenging you to dream bigger. It is not too late. You are not too old. I don't care how many times you've been let down or disappointed. God wants to do a new thing in your life. He might be resurrecting an old dream that you thought you let die, that he wants to bring back to life, or maybe he's going to give you a new dream, a dream that seems silly and impractical and not safe. I want you to dream so big that if God's not in it, you'll fail. Dream so big that you can't see the path. That's kind of the whole point. Dream so big that you need God to show up and perform a miracle in your life for this to happen. That's what has to happen for a miracle to occur. Now, we're going to talk about how to do this. We're going to talk about how to dream again, and I'm going to give you 3 practical steps to walk you through this process of dreaming, and they seem common sense and obvious, but we miss them, and we don't do this. So if you will do these 3 things, it will help you dream again, and it will help you learn this practice, this habit of dreaming, where it doesn't have to be a one-time thing. It's something you begin to do in your life, in your business, in your relationship with God all the time. So let's talk about these. The first one is I want you to own it. I want you to own it. Now, here's what that means. It means you need to acknowledge it. You need to accept that you want this thing. And this is harder than it may seem. You have to first acknowledge to yourself, between you and God, that you want this thing. So what do you want? What do you want? What do you want for your life? What do you want for your future? What do you want for your children? What do you want for your marriage? What do you want for your finances? What do you want for your business? What do you want for your career? What do you want for your health? What do you want for your friendships? What do you want for your faith life? What do you want? You've got to be able to dream again. You've got to be able to own it. Some of you have been so defeated and so discouraged and so down and out that you don't want to let yourself dream again. You've tried so many diets that you will not let yourself dream again, that you could be a healthy weight that you are proud of and be comfortable in your own skin, in your own body, because you've been disappointed. What do you want? Some of you have had so many businesses fail, you won't let yourself dream again that you could have a business that could succeed. What do you want? Some of you have been so discouraged in your marriage because you feel like this is as good as it gets. He's never going to change. I'm never going to change. We play our roles, and this is as good as it gets. What do you want? What do you want for your marriage? What do you want for your children, for your teenager that you feel disconnected from? What do you want? You first have to own it. It will not happen if you don't start by just acknowledging what you in your heart desire for your life and for the people that you love the most. It starts with just acknowledging. But y'all, this is so hard to do. We spend our entire lives and our entire thought process convincing ourselves we don't want those things. I'm fine. I'm fine at this weight. I'm fine single. I'm fine in this career. It's fine. It's fine. We don't need more than this. It's fine. I don't really need that. I don't want that. That's selfish. I'll never get there. That's for other people. That's for someone that's prettier. That's for someone more successful. That's not me. See, I've said this before to you guys, but I want to remind you, we place labels and limitations on ourselves, and then we live within them. But God is calling you outside of the box you put yourself and Him in. What do you want? You first have to own it. I love in Scripture where you see Jesus asking people again and again and again what they want. Okay, let's just acknowledge this. He is God, and He knows what they want. He knows every thought we think before we think it. He knows what they want. When a blind man comes and grabs his cloak, and Jesus turns and says, "What do you want me to do for you?" What do you think He's doing there? He knows what that man wants. He wants to be healed. He wants to see. But Jesus first wants him to own it. He wants to draw out that desire. He wants that man to acknowledge and own what he wants and then trust Him to provide it for him. What do you want? You know, I spent so much time in my 20s, my early 20s and late 20s, convincing myself that I was fine single. I was fine. People would ask me, "Are you dating anyone?" No, but I'm so busy at work, like so busy. And I have like a farm and like friends and like a social life and really busy at church. And I also like coach a soccer group. I'll just rattle on about nothing, trying to convince the other person and certainly myself that I was fine single. What did I want? I wanted someone to spend my life with. I wanted someone to love me. I wanted someone to pursue me. But we do that, don't we? We rattle on about how fine we are all the time, trying to convince others and ourselves that we don't want more. But I know you want more because God created you to want more, because God wants to give you more. So the first step is just simply to own it. You're not kidding anyone when you try to convince yourself you don't want more, and you're certainly not convincing your Creator that you don't want more. Start by owning it. What do you want? The second step, and this is simple but scary, I want you to say it out loud. I want you to say it to someone. What do you want? I want to improve my marriage. I want to lose weight. I want to run a marathon. I want to start a business. I want to make more money. I want to move into that neighborhood. I want to send my kids to this school. I want this type of future. Say it out loud. Here's what's so powerful about this. When you say your dreams out loud, they take on a life of their own. They are now outside of the battlefield of your mind, where you will have the voice of the enemy and voices of doubt and voices of fear trying to just beat them down all day until hopefully they die, right? You say them out loud, they take on a life of their own. They have more power. You now have input from other people to help support you. The ground begins to move beneath you, and people rally themselves around you and your dream. Hey, I can help you with that. I know a great counselor. I've got a graphic designer that can help you with your business. Hey, my kids are in this great program and they have a scholarship. Maybe that could work for you. People begin to align themselves with your dream. But first, you have to say it out loud. I know it's scary. I know you feel silly. I know it feels vulnerable. And make sure you're saying it to the right people. Don't just blast it off to complete strangers or someone maybe that you don't trust, because they might, unfortunately, reinforce those doubts. Oh, you shouldn't do that. That's a bad idea. It's not practical. But if you have someone that you love and someone that you trust, someone that you would see as wise counsel, someone that would believe in you, especially someone that knows God and would speak life over you, say it out loud. As silly as it sounds, out loud. As vulnerable as it feels, out loud. Say it out loud to someone. That dream takes on more power when you say it out loud. And then you have some more accountability to actually do something about it, because someone knows that you want that thing. It's taking on a life of its own. The third step to dreaming again is to write it down. And this is one more level of accountability and where this dream is now going to become even more tangible in the real world. No longer is it just a conversation that maybe you and this other person might forget about. You're going to write it down on paper. It's another step of taking it outside the battlefield of your mind where there is a war for your thoughts and you're putting it on paper. It's tangible. You can touch it. You can see it. You can hold it. You can feel it. You can show other people. You can carry it around with you. You can tape it to your mirror. This dream is real. And it's that thing you can point to and say, God, I'm trusting you with that. God, I'm giving that to you. I don't know how this is going to work out yet. I don't know. We will figure out the plan, the tools, the steps, the resources, the time management, the schedule later. But right now, this thing is real. Now, I know that dreaming is incredibly personal. It's personal for you, but it's also this amazing connection point and communication point with you and your Creator. I want to remind you, God knit you together in your mother's womb. He knows every thought you have before you even think it. He is neither surprised, nor intimidated, nor overwhelmed at your heart's desires. Your heart's desires are not bad things. They are not selfish things. They are God things. And you know what's so amazing? Our God delights in seeing his children come to him with a big, bold faith and trust him for big, bold things. I love in Luke 1:45 where it says, "Blessed is she that has believed that the Lord would fulfill his promises to her." But you have to believe. You have to believe that he will fulfill his promises to you. You have to believe and trust him for those dreams to have that blessing. You know, I want to share a personal example with you guys that is very personal, but it's also this amazing season that I have been in where I have grown in my relationship with the Lord. And I want to share it with you because I feel like the Lord has given me a word that not only taught me and challenged me and encouraged me, but hopefully it will do the same for you. Regardless of where you are on your faith journey, regardless of what your family looks like, regardless of what your dreams are, I feel like this truth is so important for all of us. So months ago, I was dreaming of growing my family. And this is something where my husband and I, we have 2 boys, and we were dreaming of having a third. And I just wanted to get to the place that I was great with either gender, a boy or a girl. You can't control that, despite what people in books and articles say. You really can't control that. And so I wanted to make sure before we move forward in praying about growing our family, that this is something that we would be just as excited if we had a boy as if we could have a girl. And you've seen all the families that have 10 girls or 5 boys or whatever. Like, I believe that God knows exactly what your family is supposed to be. And I always did rest in that. And so we got to this really good place where, yes, we'd be fine with either. Well, then, thankfully, we found out we were pregnant. We were expecting a baby in September. And so from the time that we found out we were expecting a third baby until we found out the gender, which was several months, I felt God take me through this season of drawing out my desire for a daughter. And y'all, it was excruciating. Because the more I wanted to insulate myself from that desire, the more I wanted to pretend like that desire did not exist. I'm fine. I'm fine with a boy. I'm fine. I'm a great boy mom. I'm an awesome boy mom. I love being outdoors. I love sports and hiking. Like, I'm great with a boy. God reminded me again and again how much I wanted a daughter. There was one particular day in church where I remember standing there and I was worshiping and I was praying and I was thinking, and I just was thinking about how much I would love to have a little girl. And I stood there and I said, but God, I just have to guard my heart. I just have to guard my heart. That sounds so spiritual. It sounds so mature. We've heard that phrase, guard your heart, guard your heart, guard your heart, guard your heart. I just don't want to get my hopes up and I don't want to be disappointed. I've got to guard my heart. And I felt the Lord speak so clearly to me in that moment. And he said this, you never have to guard your heart with me. You might guard your heart with other people, but you never guard your heart with me. I created your heart. I know what to do with every single desire that you have. And I know what to do with every broken piece when you're disappointed. Don't get your hopes up. I'm the God of hope. Get your hopes up. You can bring those to me. Bring your dreams, your desires, your hopes to me because I promise you I can handle it. Y'all, that day was transformational for me. I didn't know that I was going to have a daughter. I just knew that I was allowed to want one. I was allowed to dream. And I trusted that on the other side, had I found out that I was going to have a son, that God would know exactly how to lead me through that transition as well. And wouldn't you know, several weeks later, I got the call from a nurse saying it's a girl. And I bawled as I am right now. I just bawled my eyes out at the goodness of God, at the faithfulness of God. And we know it doesn't always work out that way. God is not a genie. I always trusted God knows what our family's supposed to be. I always trusted our God is good all the time. He is good, He does good, and He has good plans for us. So even if my circumstances don't always work out how I want them to, even if my dreams aren't always fulfilled exactly how I want them to be, God is still good. But the message is the same. He wants you to dream. He wants you to trust Him. He wants you to dream. He wants you to trust Him with the desires that He has given you, because I promise you, He can handle it. Don't get your hopes up. He's the God of hope. Get your hopes up, sister. It's time to dream again. Hey everyone, and welcome to Business Boutique. I'm Christy Wright, and I'm so excited because today we are sharing with you another exclusive behind-the-scenes video training lesson from our Business Boutique Academy. In today's lesson, I share with you the key relationships that you need to win in business and in life. This is important because relationships will be pivotal in your ability to get to where you want to go. Check out this week's lesson on the relationships you need to win. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm so excited about this lesson because we are talking about 4 friends that you need to help you build your business. You know, several years ago, I was in a small group with my good friend, Annie F. Downs, who many of you are probably familiar with from our Business Boutique events and from the Business Boutique podcast. I remember sitting in this small group with her, and she was talking about how vulnerable it is to speak on stage. Now, I've spoken on stage, and I know how hard this can be. And she said that one trick she has is that every time she speaks, she already has a friend waiting for her when she walks off stage. And the friend's job is one thing and one thing only: to tell her what a great job she did. I love this story because it shows that Annie knows what she needs to be successful. It is scary on stage, y'all. And a lot of times you walk off and you're insecure thinking, man, no one laughed or they looked bored. She knows how vulnerable it is to stand on stage and deliver a presentation. And since then, through hundreds of speaking events, I can attest to how hard that can be. It's really important to have someone cheer you on whenever you're done. But it gave me an insight into something bigger than that. She knows the relationships that she needs to be successful. And it's really easy to overlook the value of key relationships to help you in any area of life. But if you want to be successful in anything new you're working on, you're going to need 4 types of friends to help you on your journey. So let's talk about what these 4 friends are that you need so that you can seek them out if you don't already have them. The first friend is the connected friend. Now, you know this person. When you guys meet up to grab coffee, they know the barista, the janitor, and probably 10 people that come in while you're there. They are the one who knows someone, who knows someone, who knows someone. Now, this in my case is my friend Jenny. Jenny has endless connections that have helped me through the years. And that's exactly what your connected friend will do for you too. Their connections will open up a world of options. They will open up resources to help you and open up opportunities for your idea or your project. The moment that you speak your dream to your connected friend, they'll say, I have a graphic designer that can help you. Oh, I know an accountant. You know, I've got a lawyer that can help you with your business setup. I know someone who knows someone who knows someone who can help you. That's what the connected friend does for you. If you don't have a connected friend in your life, I want you to find one. And believe me, when you find one, you'll know because they know everyone. Now, after your connected friend, the second type of friend that you need in your business is the creative friend. In my life, this is actually me. Now, y'all know this. I talk about this all the time. I have no less than 100 ideas a day. And the more ideas that I have, the more that come to me. And I love it when I coach clients that are stuck and I can shoot out 5 new ideas on the fly that might help them. And even though I'm usually the creative friend to many people, I also need friends to bounce ideas off of. For example, in my life, Ken Coleman and Chris Hogan have given me so many great ideas to help me make our business boutique event or any speaking event even better. Creative friends help make projects stand out. They make your ideas more interesting. and they make the whole process of building a business a lot more fun. Creative friends help make your projects stand out. They make your ideas more interesting, and they make the whole process of building a business more fun. They're going to come up with solutions that you may not have thought of. They'll help you overcome challenges that you might be stuck by. And they have so many ideas that can help you in many different aspects of your business. They can help you stand out from your competition in creative ways. They can even help you build things like social media on a really practical level. I love the quote by Maya Angelou where she says, "Creativity can't be used up. The more you use, the more you have." And that's what the creative friend will do for you. They have no end to their ideas, and they can help you with all of their creativity. Now, the third type of friend that you need for your business is the cautious friend. This is my husband, Matt. I love my husband, Matt. I love Matt. Y'all know I did a video with Matt. If you watch the video training with Matt, then you know that we're very different. I am very creative. He is very practical. He's very cautious. He is insanely and maddeningly detailed. He drives me crazy, the good kind of crazy and the bad kind of crazy, and I need him like crazy. And your cautious friend is the one that makes sure that the creative friend's ideas can actually happen. They will shoot holes in your idea, painful holes, by the way, but they help make your idea stronger so that it can actually work. They also, by the way, save you from so many mistakes down the road that you may not have thought about or planned for. Not that I know anything about that. But here's the thing with your cautious friend. They help you think things through. They help you follow through. They help protect you against future mishaps, and they make everything stronger in the process. If you don't have a cautious friend in your life, I want to challenge you to go find one. Now, like me, they will probably drive you crazy, especially if you're like me and you're creative. But this person can help you be successful. It can be someone as practical as your CPA, which is going to help you pay your taxes to the IRS, which is like, kind of a big deal. Or it can be someone that helps you in an assistant role. Maybe you hire a virtual assistant and they're very, very cautious and detailed and they think things through. If you remember from our lesson on communication, this would be the how person. Remember this? We talked about wow people, the ideas people like me, and then the how people. How will we do this? How much money will it take? How will we follow through? That's your cautious friend. Cautious friends are so valuable in your business. So if you don't have one, I want to challenge you to find one. You'll know it's them when they start asking you a lot of questions. You've probably found your cautious friend. Now, the fourth friend that you need for your business team is the cheerleader friend. This is the friend that Annie was talking about in our women's group. They are the person that is gifted with words and they're generous with encouragement. This is the friend that makes you feel like you can conquer your problems, your messy house, and the world all at the same time. She is everyone's number one fan, and she'll keep you motivated and encouraged and confident all along the scary process of putting yourself out there in business. In my case, this is my friend Ashley. Every time I talk to Ashley, I leave feeling great about myself. That's what Ashley does. She builds people up. She's always saying, look at you. Look at how great you're doing. Look at how hard you're working. Look at what an impact that you're making. Even when you're discouraged or you have a setback, talking to a friend like Ashley, the cheerleader friend, you leave believing in yourself again. You leave believing in your dream again. They help you refocus and stay encouraged along the way. What I love about people like Ashley is that they use the gift of words to speak life over people. And it's amazing the impact that you can have when you speak life over people. Thank God for friends like Ashley. If you don't have a cheerleader friend, if you don't have that person in your life that builds you up and speaks life over you, I want you to find it. It's crucial not only in business, but in life. Life can be hard, business can be hard, and as we all know, people can be mean. So you need those people around you that love you and speak truth over you and build you up. Now, even if the only person that works in your business is technically you still don't have to go it alone. You'll actually be set up for success and reduce your stress and have a lot more fun if you have these 4 types of friends with you along the way. You need the connected friend. They know someone who knows someone who knows someone who can help you. You need the creative friend because they have a lot of creative ideas that can help you in many aspects of your business. You need the cautious friend. I know it's hard, but you do. You need the cautious friend. I need the cautious friend. We all need the cautious friend to help us be better. They're going to help you avoid mistakes and make your ideas stronger. And then lastly, you need the cheerleader friend. This is someone to pick you up and dust you off when things get hard and you get discouraged. They're the ones that speak life over you and keep you going when things are hard. All right, so you may already have these friends in your life, and they probably came to mind if you do. However, if you don't, your action step for this lesson is to find those friends. But I've got a great resource that's going to help you. In the Business Boutique community, you can actually reach out and find these people. So I want you to put a post in the Business Boutique community. I'm looking for a fill in the blank type of friend. Now, hopefully, you already have a couple of these friends. So maybe you're just looking for the cautious friend. You have avoided the detail type your whole life, and now is time. Fine. You would post in the Business Boutique community, I'm looking for a cautious friend. Or if you need the cheerleader friend, you would say that. Or if you need the connected friend, you would say that. Use the Business Boutique community to post what you're looking for, and then you can start to build these 4 key relationships today. I'm so excited to have the Business Boutique community to bring you guys together. There's power in women championing other women. So your action step for this lesson is to reach out and find your 4 types of friends that you need for your business. Hey everyone, and welcome to Business Boutique. I'm so excited because today I get to share another awesome conversation with you, and this is with someone that is so fun, and you probably know who it is. Bob Gough is a New York Times bestselling author, speaker, and encourager. He's also just a really funny and really fun guy. I'm so glad that I get to call him a friend. And by the way, he will be speaking at our Business Boutique conference coming up in a couple months. Check out my conversation with Bob. Bob, thanks so much for being here.
Hey, you bet. Thanks for having me, Christy.
I'm so excited about this. I have been a fan of yours for a long time, not just from your book, from reading Love Does, and then even back in the Young Life days. You're a Young Life guy, and that's how I met Jesus, and I've been a volunteer for years, and I'm highly connected to Young Life, so I just feel like we are kindred spirits.
Oh, that made you a hero status a long time ago. But I just like the people with Young Life, and they don't have a corner on it, but they're sure good at plugging into people and just loving them without an agenda. And that's when you know it's love, when there's no agenda. Otherwise, it's a program, and we don't need another program.
Yeah, that's right. I love that. Well, for anyone watching or listening that may not be familiar with what you do and who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm married to Sweet Maria Gough, and I have 3 awesome kids. That's all you need to know about me.
That's the important stuff, right? The good stuff.
Yeah, I just nailed it. Everything else is just the crumbs. Recovering lawyer, and then we do some stuff with kids in different places that are in difficult spots.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, I know so many people are familiar with the main thing that they probably remember right now, which is Love Does, which is such a great book. And then you're doing some really cool stuff right now with dreaming and helping people dream again. And I'm so excited to talk to you about this because that's really the focus of this show today. And like we were talking about even before we went live, I think a lot of us start out, as children with these big imaginations. And we got big dreams and we want to do big things. And then at some point we stop. And we get practical and we get scared to dream. So talk to us a little bit about this. Why do you think it might be hard as grown, mature, professional, or whatever, adults? Why is it so hard to dream and tap into that inner child that we have?
Well, I think there's a bunch of return addresses for that. Sometimes we don't feel like we're worthy of having the dream. You'd say like might have been a past screw up, whether it was a big private one or a big public one. And so you said, let those kind of rob you of your dreams. You defer, you say it's somebody else, it's not for me. Sometimes this can be some limiting belief that you have. And for those listening, that limiting belief would be something that would be kind of like on a loop in your mind. Like if you grew up in a family where your parents split up, you might have a limiting belief that if I actually love somebody, eventually they'll leave, right? And so if your relationships are, you find going really shallow, there might be something underlying that, which is this idea it might leave. And so it happens with our dreams. They get hijacked sometimes by other people. Sometimes if you're hip to the Enneagram, I'm a 7, the enthusiast. You wouldn't have to know anything about it to figure that one out.
You are such a 7.
Yeah, flaming 7. But if you're like a consensus builder, something that might keep you from getting to your dreams is trying to get validation from everybody else. Like, do you think that's a great idea? Do you think that's a great idea? It's not a bad idea, but it would be understanding, do I want to let my dreams be held hostage by everybody else's opinions? And so 7's one of the hallmarks of us is that we don't like sad things. Like we avoid that like the plague. We also don't wait for permission. And if you're a strong, capable woman and listening to this, don't you wait for permission from anybody, particularly from a dude, to just go be who God made you to be. I mean, all the disciples were saying they never heard of Jesus, and the rooster's going off, and all the women are making it happen.
Yeah.
I still serve as the consul general for Uganda. You know the crazy thing about that? Uganda fired every male ambassador on earth and replaced them with women.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously, I didn't know that.
Yes, guys have conversations, women get it done.
There you go. I love it. All the women are cheering right now.
Even Love Does. I'll give you an example. We have 10 people who work for me, and they're all women. And because I just like that whole idea, if somebody got this idea of empowerment, like as if the guys have the power, what I've done, just get out of their way and just say you've got an ambition, go after it. So part of dreaming big is first, like realizing for yourself that you've been around the sun a couple times, you've got some beautiful ambitions, you'll know the ones that you've got, and then just go after them. Quit waiting for permission. Quit letting some of these limiting beliefs get in the way. Just take the next step. And that's the thing about steps. Like I'm a grandpa now, which has been my ambition since junior high school. I hadn't even gone out on a date, but I knew that's what I wanted. And so when this grandchild of mine takes their first step at 1 year old, I'm not going to say I've seen better. No,
right.
Like it's their first step. And there's a great verse. It's Zechariah 4:10. It says that God delights in watching the work begin, to just not despise the small beginnings. And so I hope if you're a woman and you have this idea of starting a business or going after this ambition of yours, that you won't wait for permission, you won't get wrapped around the axle with all the stuff in the past that's getting in the way of your future, and that you'll just take the next step. Don't take all the steps, just the next one.
I love that. Okay, so you brought up the Enneagram, and I think this is a really interesting point. Do you think that there are certain personality styles that it's just easier for them? It seems like from the outside,
totally.
7s, you guys just dream like no big deal, but then you might have a 6 that is a little bit more fear-based going, well, what if it goes wrong? And what if this doesn't work? And what if I fail? So for someone that maybe their natural wiring is not as optimistic and big dreamer, how would you help someone like that that's just like that place feels so scary to them, it feels outside their comfort zone? Like how would you help someone like that it's really hard?
Yeah, the first thing I do is just encourage you like that we need you. We need all of your you-iness. Like just go be like awesomely you, because I think all together we make one really well-adjusted person, but it takes all of us just being who God made us to be. Remember that kid's book, Stone Soup, where they just say, put the cauldron in the middle of the village, and they said, we're making stone soup, and everybody just came and threw in what they had, and at the end of the day, turn the last page, everybody's fed. And so I would say for a person like a 1 on the Enneagram, the hallmark's very detailed oriented. So if you feel like I'm like always mired in the details, I would say wonderfully so, but let's also get something done. So if you're spending all of your time preparing, but you're never really ready, then I would say that's not working to your advantage. So I think you can prepare, you can be enthusiastic like me, but we don't need a bunch of red bulled out, jacked up people. Well, we want people who know why they're doing what they're doing. And if we have people that know that, we're set.
I love it. Okay, so for someone like you that seems to dream a lot, let's talk about the other end of the spectrum. Dreaming is easy for you. You've got a million ideas a minute. I relate to that. I'm an 8, but I'm an 8-wing 7, and I'm the creative, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and so I have so many ideas. How do you know which dreams are the ones that you should really lean into? They've got a fire, you should act on them, as you said. And which ones are the ones that are just a fleeting idea that are kind of crazy and probably don't need to proceed?
Yeah, so first, if you're listening, take no short explanations. We only have a little bit of time to get at this, but I would say one of my ambitions, one of the things I've dreamt about is to be an astronaut. And so I'm 60. It ain't going to happen unless SpaceX like duct tapes me to the top of one of the rockets. But I would say one of the things, I would say viability. Like, is it actually going to work? There's things. I have another ambition. It's to learn how to fly a hot air balloon. I'm actually taking lessons. I'm 2 lessons away from getting my license. What does that have to do with world peace or some of these other ambitions? Ending a war? Nothing. But it has to do with this, living an engaged life. And so I would say one of the hallmarks of people that they get a lot done. They're just engaged. They want to know where nectar comes from in flowers. They want to know like why bananas are berries and strawberries aren't. They're engaged in their faith. They're engaged in their family. They're engaged in their friends. They're actually situationally aware. They know what's going on around them, but they're not wrapped around the axle thinking their stuff is everybody else's stuff.
Yeah.
And so they don't get confused. They know why they're doing what they're doing. They figure out like what's on my plate in front of me. And you can say, what is actually viable? And me being a rocket scientist or a rocket astronaut is not going to be one of those things. But I could get in a balloon.
Right.
Or I could like get to know somebody who actually does spacewalks.
Right.
Actually.
Right. Something
where do you find them? Go to Houston. That's what I did. I literally wanted to meet somebody who's going to do that, and then you just get to Houston, and there they all are.
I love it. Well, what's so fun about this, too, is because I feel like one of the things you're talking about is when you start to lean into it, you see the ones that you can do. Maybe you can't be an astronaut, but I'd be willing to bet there are a lot of women listening and watching that are thinking there's a lot of things they could do. In your example, the balloon, but they're still missing out on that opportunity because it feels silly or impractical. Like, I'll tell you, Bob, in my life, I have done some weird things. Like, I have taken Latin and ballroom dance lessons when I was like 23, just because I thought it sounded fun. This is when Dancing with the Stars came out.
At the same time, I hope.
Yes. I have gone cage diving with sharks and lived on a farm. And what people always say, they're like, people talk about doing these crazy things, but you actually do them. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you? Like, if you want to do them and you can do them, why wouldn't you do them? But so many people don't, Bob. Like, so many people, they either feel like it's silly or it's impractical, or here's a common thing I hear, and I would love to camp here for a second. For some reason, it feels selfish. And I think a lot of moms feel this when they have family and responsibilities and, we've got to do everything the right way. Well, if I have this dream, this thing, whatever this thing is, and it might be a business, it might be something else, taking ballroom dance lessons, whatever it is, there's something about it that feels selfish. Like, I can't lean into this thing because it feels selfish. Can we just talk about that? Like, where do you think that narrative comes from, and why is it not true?
I think sometimes we tend to think in a binary fashion, like zeros and ones. Like, this is either wholly selfish or wholly, altruistic for other people. And I think it can be a combination of many things to just say, what are the beautiful ambitions that God's just placed uniquely in your heart, and you just want to do it because it'd be just a lot of fun. Yeah. And then just say, what are the things that are actually going to last? And I spent a lot of time trying to do things that worked. And I'd say one thing for me is I'm trying to do more things that last. Like, I'm going to be a grandfather of many, many children. I keep sending all my kids T-shirts that say, make people. So that would be an ambition, many grandchildren. And I just want to be a really fun grandpa. And you don't need a hot air balloon to do that, but it doesn't hurt.
Sure.
Like, one of the things that you could say, what about ballroom dancing? That hasn't come up on the radar for me. But if that was important to Sweet Maria, I'd be like, let's tango.
Totally, yeah.
But so sometimes it's just that idea of what's your role in this world. And I think it's many things. It isn't just all of this or all of that. And the beautiful thing that makes each of us, a well-adjusted person is that we have many, many interests. There might be some that have this fleeting kind of a temporary status, and others that will be the things that people speak about you at your eulogy. And I think it's the combination of all things. It isn't all Twizzlers and it isn't all broccoli. It's many of the things to say what feeds your soul, what lights you up, and then what's good. And if faith is an important thing for you, Matthew 25, I was hungry, I was thirsty, I was sick, I was strange, I was naked, I was in jail. So there's a go. James talks about widows and orphans. So the things that we do, like, I just try to do those things. I teach a class at San Quentin. Is that awesome?
That's amazing.
It's a great class. I teach these prisoners how to be clear in their message that they give. Because if you've got a roommate and you're in a 6 by 9 foot cell and your roommate weighs 270, that's an awesome time to have a clear message. If you have victims of a crime that you committed, it's a great time. If you have a family you're separated from decades, a parole board. Like, I would say that I would ask this question of your listeners, like, what about you? What's your message? And it doesn't need to be a slogan. It doesn't need to be a tagline. But what are you actually saying to Earth about what's your place in this? And I guess one of the things about you, Christy, and so many others in the blast radius that I've encountered is you're just saying it's possible.
Yeah.
And if you actually believe this isn't this cosmic download, it's possible. Look at your life.
Right. Yeah.
Here you are. And to say, what might be possible with this life I've got? You say, like, I don't know, what have I got? And you say, like, well, an imagination or not. But if you got a friend, you go, like, if they have an imagination, if you don't have a friend with an imagination, get one.
Yeah.
Buy him Starbucks. So call me up. Like, to say one of the things that I want to be available. That was as easy as just putting my cell phone number in the back of 2 million books.
That small detail.
There's other ways to be available. You could get a walkie-talkie today at Radio Shack, hang it from a tree in the center of your town, and then just carry the other end around. And when somebody calls, just answer it. I know it sounds absurd. What's the benefit of that? It's just like carving this new little groove in your brain, and then you want to go Grand Canyon on it. You want to create a new habit, this new way that you see yourself. I'm the person that's available. And so when somebody calls me, I don't see that as an interruption to the day. I see that as part of my day. And my friends don't think it's rude. They think it's actually beautiful because they don't know who's going to call.
That's right.
And this whole idea of being available. I got a call yesterday from a guy, and he said, I was going to walk down the aisle with my fiance and get married, and I asked you 5.5 years ago if you'd pray for us before we went down. And he said, do you remember doing that? And actually I didn't. And I told him, and he said, well, no matter, my wife is in the hospital right now. And I'm like, oh, heavens, like what happened? He said, she actually is in the hospital because a 21-year-old girl in our church that she doesn't even know has liver cancer. She's giving her half her liver today.
Wow.
And I just wanted you to know. I'm like, it just made me so glad to be available for that call.
That's right.
And the call from somebody to say, what's your favorite flavor ice cream? Like that you could decide, and it's not a tagline, it's a life approach.
Right.
And what I've observed is no matter what number you are, what personality type, if you decide I'm going to be available within the context of how I process the world, awesome things will happen. If you're a small businesswoman, just be available. Instead of having a sign that says we're open, just say we're available. Yeah. And that a small change, it's that quarter of a little twist that gives you a different perspective on who you are and how you fit into this thing.
I love this, and so much of what you're talking about, like let's use the walkie-talkie example, which is crazy, Bob. Like let's just, like hanging a walkie-talkie from a tree is crazy. I love this. Here's what you have to do to be able to do something like that and be able to do a lot of what we're talking about, to dream big, to be available, all these things. You have to, at some point, let go of the obsession that I think a lot of people have about what other people think of me. What would someone think of me if I hang a walkie-talkie from a tree? What would someone think of me if I took astronaut classes, hot air balloon classes, ballroom dance lessons, went cage diving with sharks, fill in the blank, start a business? I can't tell you how many people don't act on their dreams because they are just worried about what other people think. You seem to have just an immunity to this. So teach us, Bob. How do we get over this?
All you're doing is really just confirming all their suspicions.
No.
They think you're nuts. Be like, I'm certain they're nuts. I haven't gone cage diving with a bunch of sharks, but I've been around a couple lawyers. and one of the things I'm trying to do is take kind of a less aggressive approach towards the people I'm around. I'll give you an example. Like I'm licensed to practice law in like 5 or 6 states, evidently. And but while I'm capable of being a lawyer, I felt like what I'm made to do is start schools. It doesn't mean all the years as a trial lawyer were for naught, but they were a preparation to do what I'm doing now. And so think of your circumstance, all the things that prepared you. Relationships that went great, relationships that got wonky. We see like a hole that we dug, and God sees a foundation he's building. And to see these things as not the reasons you can't do it, but actually the reasons that you actually have enough life experience to approach these. And so you start things. We've just started a bunch of schools in Afghanistan, schools for little girls. The Taliban won't learn how to read and write. And I'm like, that's just lame to deny an entire generation of women. I'm not trying to turn them into Christians. I just want them to be able to choose. Right. If they have enough information to decide what their life was going to be like, that would be a beautiful thing. And so you just start. You buy the ticket. But here's the deal. Don't go across the ocean. Go across the street. Yeah. You won't find anything in the scriptures about going across oceans. Paul got in a shipwreck and another guy got swallowed by a whale. So don't worry about the whole ocean thing. But to say what's available right here in my community. Who's a friend that I've kind of lost touch with? I can make one phone call, no agenda other than I'd like to find out the 3 things that inspire you.
Yeah.
What is it that really lights you up? What is it that you're dreaming about? And then ask yourself those questions. Don't go for the third question or the first question, like what's your name?
Right.
And the second question, what do you do for a living? But the third question, like what are you dreaming about? And if they had that with you, you'd say a number of things. I mean, like I'm dreaming of some things about for my family. I'm thinking about things for some people in some other countries. And so if we could be the ones that that just think at a number of different levels what we're dreaming about, those will guide the conversations that we're having.
I love it because it's so interesting how our experience can so easily mirror stories in the Bible that we can point to, that we can read and see models and examples of this in Scripture. But for some reason, our situation feels different. Like it's so funny how, God will ask me to do something that feels crazy. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. This feels, again, impractical. I don't know. You look at examples like Noah, like people thought he was insane. You know what I mean? He's building an ark. There's no rain. Like you look at example after example in Scripture where God calls someone to do something that seems crazy. And just like you said, it's preparation. There's all these different examples of preparation when we have to trust in that. And then, of course, we see how it makes sense in hindsight. But at the time, you're just walking on faith. You're walking on water. You're building an ark. You're whatever the thing is. And I think that's what dreaming feels like. It feels scary and risky and a little crazy at the time. But it's amazing how God will come through in the end if we can walk through that in faith.
Yeah, there's something too about realizing that, he picks like these fishermen that never even get the nets on the right side of the boat.
They don't even get it right.
50-50 chance. And they didn't see that it's disqualifying themselves, that they messed up yet again. They thought they just did what he said to do. I love that. I've been studying these miracles that Jesus did, not just like, wedding feast of Cana stuff, but to say what was going on around that particular miracle. And that first miracle, Mary said to the maitre d' there, do whatever he tells you to do. I would say that'd be great. If faith is important to you, I'd say do whatever God tells you to do. If you want to know what he tells you to do, Matthew 25, hungry people, thirsty people, sick people, strange people, naked people, people in jail. It's hard to find naked people, but it's easy to find people in jail. And so find the people that are available. And literally just drive around town with some burgers. You have like Whataburger, don't you? Is that down in Texas? I don't know. But like feed people. That's what Chick-fil-A does. Just give people what they need. Is there something I can do to be helpful? All these calls that I get, that's the question I ask. I say, how can I be helpful to you? And it's not like they're ordering a Coke and fries. I just say, is there something that I have that I could use to help you along the way? I think we have a mutual friend in Al Andrews in Nashville, and he's got this place called Porter's Call. I thought a porter was like a Sherpa that carried my latte machine up Everest. But he explained to me very patiently that a porter in the Benedictine tradition is somebody who goes down to the gate every morning and greets people and says, how can I help you on your way? Christy, I think this is why you're doing the podcast. You want to say, how can I help you on your way with your small businesses? How can I help you along your way with your marriages and your relationships? I think that's when it gets really good. So if we approach that we're available to people to say, is there something I can do, something I got that'll help you along the way? Then you know why you're doing what you're doing. And then whether it works or not, you knew why you were doing what you're doing. Yeah. I've had all kinds of things crater, not work at all, but I knew why I was doing it. And even trying to date Maria, I knew why I was doing it. It just wasn't working.
I love it. Well, it's so interesting. I was just talking about this earlier, but even when you look at Scripture, like I think one of the things that we struggle with is owning our dreams. Like we just pretend like we don't have any, like as if that's the right thing to do, the holy thing to do. Oh, I don't have any aspirations. I don't have any dreams. I'm fine with this. And one of the examples I was giving earlier is if you look at Scripture, when someone came to Jesus, he would always ask them, what do you want me to do for you? What do you want? What are you dreaming about? And
Yeah. And it was usually blind guys that
and it's
did
like,
the asking.
He knows. He is God. He knows your thoughts. He knows it. But there's something so important about that question where he's saying, will you own it? Will you trust me with that thing that you want? But you first have to acknowledge that you want it. And I think a lot of women have, and not just women, this is men too, but we've got women listeners and women coming to Business Boutique. They have somehow pushed those dreams aside for so long. They have buried them in the back of their mind to collect dust for whatever reason, all those reasons we covered at the beginning. And now they're trying to explore what would it look like to resurrect those dreams or dream new dreams. And God's saying, what do you want? What do you want me to do for you? And that question can be intimidating, but it's also exciting because it could open up whole new doors like you and I are talking about.
I think I'd like underline and italicize the you. Like, what do you want? Like, because it's easy to start channeling parents, old boyfriends, teachers, other people, but to say not what they wanted or what they thought the answer should be for you, but what do you actually want? And it takes a dollop of introspection, a little bit of time to just chill out and not be stressed out. And if you're stressed out, get a puppy. But like literally just chill out. You'd be so busy.
I know, seriously, I was like, that would just add to it.
Yes. So, but that whole idea to just chill out a little bit and then just say, what do I actually really want? You'd say, well, then what category? You'd say, well, then let's list them. What do you want in your marriage? What do you want in the relationships that are most important to you? What do you want to be some of your legacy? What's going to outlast you? What do you want in terms of the fears? What do you want about reconciling things? And how do you feel? I wear a mood ring. Isn't that awesome? I've been wearing this thing for like 5 years. It changes color all the time. And I got it for $2 on Evie. I'm telling you, get a mood ring. And, and ladies, if you're just dating a guy, you're not married and you've got somebody, if you actually are married and you're dating a guy, that's a different conversation. But like, if you have somebody, give them a mood ring and to just say like, I want to talk about your feelings too. And if he says, I'm actually not into feelings, say like, awesome, I'm not into you. Send him down the road. Because one of the things is to surround yourself with people that are actually self-aware and they're asking these questions of themselves so that it feels like feels normative. It doesn't feel weird to say, what do you want? That is very normative to ask those questions. And if you don't have somebody that's speaking dreams around you constantly, I would find a couple additional friends. You don't have to replace the ones you've got, just add to them and find some people that are looking at the horizon and say, I wonder what's over there. And they show up to see if there's a green flash. I've never seen one yet, but I gotta believe it's there. I'm gonna keep looking.
I was just talking to one of my good friends yesterday, and she was telling me about this idea she has for a business. We've been best friends for years, and she's never had an interest in having a business or anything, so this is a whole new conversation. And she said, here's what I'm thinking. Do you think this will work? And so on. And so, of course, I just sent her a video response back of, here's why I think this is so great, and you'd be so great, and all these things. And she said, well, I asked my friend, this other friend here, and she's in Knoxville, and she said, I asked this friend, and she told me, it definitely wouldn't work, and like no one would buy from it. I said, who is this friend? You need to defriend her. Like this is not a friend. But I love that advice to surround yourself with people that speak life over you, that will help to rally around your dreams and breathe life into those dreams, even when you're not believing in the dream, that they can carry you a little bit through that, because we all need that. And Bob, I can tell you, you are certainly that for millions of people, which we are all so grateful for. I'm a recipient, one of the many. But I would love it, before we wrap up, if you would tell us where people can connect with you, and also maybe a little bit about what you're excited about speaking at Business Boutique. We're so thrilled. I've heard you speak at Catalyst and many times, so I'm so thrilled you're going to be there. The ladies are going to just love it. So tell us a little bit about what you're excited about and where people can connect with you, or call you, follow you, all the things, see what you're up to with the hot air balloon and the grandkids.
Yeah, if you just Google Bob Gough, what's his phone number?
It's going to come up. Give him a call.
That's awesome. Yeah, but one of the things that I've been thinking about is this impact that we can leave behind by not only expressing our dreams, ambitions, but to do the deep work that we need to do. As a 7, if you would follow the Enneagram, going deep and dealing with the sadness or some of the setbacks in our life, that actually is not what we tend towards. We want to avoid that and stick with happy and balloons and all that. And so I would say, for me, I'm just trying to deal with that. I'm not trying to camp out there, but I would just go hey, I want to deal with some of those things so I can understand, why am I doing what I'm doing? Is this a limiting belief? Is this little insecure Bobby Gough? What Bobby Gough realized when he was super young is, if I could just make people laugh and be happy, I wouldn't have to deal with my own insecurity, because I would be getting the feedback from them, because they'd be smiling that I was okay. I wasn't looking for validation. That's like applause. Join the circus if you want that. But to just say I was looking for like the grins, because then it would make me feel like they weren't watching me anymore and everybody was okay. And so if you can just understand for yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? I'm telling you, it wasn't my thought, but so many friends, Miles Adcox had it on site, that idea that you can only take people as far as you've gone yourself. You want to go far in your business, go on this inner journey to understand what is it that's driving this? Is it to get some validation from somebody else to say I'm a success? Or do you actually believe that you're here on earth and it's a success? It's like a touchdown or a goal, or I'm not a sports guy, but it's what you won.
Right.
Here you are. So now what are you going to do next? And I just believe that heaven is leaning over the rails saying, we want you to grow into the woman that God made you to be. Fully into that with all the picadillos and foibles and failures and all that, but to say this idea of a new creation, like who is it that you're going to be next? I turned 60 a couple weeks ago. I bought a dirt bike and I've been learning how to jump it. So far I've gone 30 feet, but here's the deal. The motorcycle only went 20.
Bob, how are you right sitting there right now?
It's awesome. But here's the deal. I just got back on. And that's going to happen. It's a relationship. It's a business venture. It's a whatever it was that you jumped big and you went right over the handlebars. And I've just learned a little bit more. I know like when to hit the gas and when to hit the brake. And so sometimes we think of this idea of achievement as all gas, no brake. And I would say I'd give that a quarter of a twist and say, what if we have a little bit of both? And I think to have enough break that you can have some time at Starbucks, make somebody else pay, and just say, can you tell me about 3 things that you're hoping for me? Because I'm just feeling a little bit hopeless right now. Pause to say, am I comparing myself to everybody else? Comparison's a punk. I would make you shout that into the screen right now. It's steal your lunch money. Just keep your eyes on your own paper. And to say, who is it that I'm becoming? I'm a new creation. Tell me about that woman I'm turning into. Then
I love that. I love that visual you just gave us, not of you flying over the handlebars, but the one before, right before that, where you said the idea of heaven leaning over the rails, saying, what are they going to do? What are they going to do next? Just the anticipation that heaven is for you, not against you, and what is coming down the pike. I love it. Well, Bob, you are just a light in this world. You are such a joy and just so much fun. So I know everyone is so excited to have you at the event. I'm thrilled. And I know people are just going to be so inspired by this content and by this lesson on dreaming. There's something really special, and you are quite an expert. So thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule to be here and teach us today.
Thanks a million. And I'll tell you, Christy, I'm going to learn, not to teach. And I just being around the blast radius of people that are there, women who have beautiful ambitions for their lives, I think it's going to be a treat. I'm knowing going to learn a lot. I'm going to run home to Sweet Maria, tell her all about it, tell her what color my moon
You got to tell Sweet Maria, there's some nail polish. I don't have my nails done right now, Bob. You can't see them, but there's nail polish that is mood nail polish, and it changes color with your, I swear, she'll love it. She'll love it. So you got to let her know to try that out. Anyway, Bob, you're the best. Thanks for being here.
Bye. So long.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Business Boutique. I'm Christy Wright, and today I have some encouragement for you. Now I'm going to tell you guys, a lot of what I teach and a lot of what I speak on are things that I have learned. Learned from mentors, learned from books, learned from life experiences, and today's encouragement is no exception. Now, one of the things that I have noticed in my life as a believer, as a Christian, is that so often we tend to want formulas for our faith. Right? Like we want a roadmap and we want to know, okay, A plus B equals C. If I do this, it will lead to this result. And that's certainly, there's a truth to that. We live in a world where you reap what you sow, right? Like there are consequences for your decisions. There are results from your actions, and that is absolutely true. But here's what I've noticed is really challenging and difficult to grasp and understand. God doesn't always do things that way. Right? Like God is not formulaic in the sense that he is going to treat you exactly how he treats your friend, exactly how he treats your coworker, exactly how he treats your spouse. And if you both have the same situation, it may lead to very different results. Well, how is that? Like, why is that? Does God choose to take someone a different way because he sees something they don't? Or maybe because he likes them more than you? Like why is it that some people have a completely different experience in their faith walk? You know, I asked my mentor, Eve Serrett, who I just love. She's a Young Life staff member and has just been a great friend of mine for years. I asked her years ago how she would explain denominations. Like, how can we all love the same God and have such different ideas about how to love him? Legalism, different theology, different ways to practice your faith. Like, how do you explain that when we're talking about the same God? And she said, well, Christy, look at scripture. When Jesus healed the blind, how did he do it? I was like, well, gosh, a lot of different ways. Well, what happens is, as believers, when we have a certain experience with God, we tend to get with other people that have that same experience and say, this is the right way. She said, that's how you explain denominations. All the Methodists, all the Baptists, all the Presbyterians, all Episcopalians, Catholics, fill in the blank. But don't we do that in life? Don't we see that our way must be the right way, the only way? If God did something in our life in a certain way, then that must be the right way. And what our natural inclination is to make that a mandate for everyone around us. Well, this is how you worship. Well, this is how you hear from God. Well, this is how you practice obedience. Well, this is how you steward your money. Well, this is how you steward your talents. It's this way because God told me, and this is how I've experienced it in my life. But you know what I want to remind you today? God is not only much bigger than that, he's much more personal than that. I'm reading a book right now that is absolutely unbelievable by Priscilla Shirer, and it's called Discerning the Voice of God. Some of you may have heard of this book. One of the sections from a couple nights ago where I was reading talked about how personal God is and not only how he speaks to you, but how he leads you. She used a great example of a map. Let's say, for example, that you want to leave your house and get to a certain destination about 20 minutes across town. Well, there are probably a lot of different paths to get there, right? You could take the interstate, and in my case, you could take Franklin Road, you could take back roads, like you could take multiple paths to get to the same destination. What you'll find in your faith walk is that God will take people on different paths. He will take people on different paths to get to the same destination. Some people he's taken 65, some people he's taken Franklin Road, some people he's taken back roads. And it's so easy to look at those other people and go, you're going the wrong way. The better way is the interstate. The better way are back roads. It's so easy to pass judgment on other people in different experiences, going a different route, and not realize that God is taking them that way on purpose because he is personal. Your relationship with him is personal. Your path to where you're going is personal. And I want to remind you, it might be easy to say, well, different people go to different destinations. That is true. But I also love the quote by a friend that says, God cares a lot more about who you're becoming than where you're going. See, we fixate on the destination. We worry about who's getting where and when and what the best route is to get there, but God cares about the journey. God cares about who you're becoming on the journey, whether it's on the interstate or the back roads or somewhere in between. So if you're seeing a friend or you're seeing a coworker or you're seeing someone on social media going a different path, maybe to even different destination, don't be discouraged. It doesn't mean that God has forgotten you. It doesn't mean that God loves you less. It doesn't mean that God does not have good plans for you. All it means is that God is personal. It's just like we were talking about in Jeremiah. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. He didn't say plans to take you on this exact same route that everyone else takes, but the plans are good. You can rest in the knowledge that your God is personal. He sees you, he loves you, and his plans for you are good. Hey everyone, and welcome to Business Boutique. I'm so excited because today we are sharing with you another Business Boutique Academy video training lesson from our video training library. Today's lesson is all about what to do with your weaknesses. We often talk about strengths, but then we know we also have weaknesses. What do we do with those? How do we work around them? How do we get help for those things? Well, today's lesson will answer all of that and more. Check it out. Hey guys, welcome back. In this lesson, we are talking about what to do with your weaknesses. Now, as you know, I want you to spend most of your time in your strengths, but there are still a lot of things that have to be done that you might not be good at. You're not good at everything, and neither am I. No one is. So we've got to figure out what we're going to do with those areas that we're weak. So that's why in this lesson, I want to walk you through several things you can do to help backfill for your weaknesses. Now, I know when you're getting started in business, you're doing everything yourself. You're doing the startup, you're doing the marketing, you're doing the operations, you're doing everything. So it's easy to feel like you have to stay there. I actually experienced this myself several years ago. I decided that I wanted a real website for my blog. So I decided, how hard can it be? You get a template, you put some colors, some fonts, some photos, it's not a big deal, right? They basically build it for you. Well, it wasn't long before I was sucked into the black hole of building a website. The only thing is, I'm not a graphic designer, I'm not a web programmer, and I had no idea what I was doing. I spent hours and hours trying to decipher and figure out what widgets are and plugins and how to make these codes work and look good, and it still looked ugly. So after a complete weekend wasted trying to build a website, something I wasn't good at and didn't know how to do, I decided to get some help. And so I want to do that for you in this lesson. I want to teach you some different ideas and resources of what you can do with your weaknesses. That's going to enable you to stay in your strengths and allow other people to stay in their strengths as well. Now, over the years, I have discovered many things that I'm not good at. I'm not good at softball, details, and parallel parking, just to name a few. But I've also discovered some things that come naturally to me. Because I'm creative and outgoing and I'm extremely energetic, things like public speaking or coaching or teaching are effortless for me. However, learning the difference between what I'm good at and what I'm not good at didn't happen overnight. I've discovered for many women, the burnout happens not because they're doing too many things. It's because they're doing the wrong things. You're going to be the most successful if you stay in your strengths, but you're also going to have the most fun. So I want you to find ways to do more of what you love and less of what you don't love. More of what you're good at and less of what you're not good at. In our lesson in staying in your strengths, I gave you a quick way to identify what your strengths are. I told you to ask yourself the 5 E questions. So let's recap what those are really quickly. What do you enjoy? What comes effortless to you? What do others encourage in you? Where do you excel? And what gives you energy? Your answers to those 5 questions will point you in the direction of your strengths. And that's where I want you to spend the most of your time in your business. But what about everything else? What about all of the tasks that still have to be done that you don't enjoy, that you don't excel at, that are not effortless, and that just plain drain your energy? What do you do with those things? You aren't good at everything, as we know, and I'm not either. But here's the thing, you have to still get those things done. So what do you do with your weaknesses? I want you to find ways to backfill for your weaknesses. So here's how to get started. First, you need to face them. Now, I know facing your weaknesses isn't always fun, but it's actually a great step in building your business. When you're aware of them, you can find solutions for them. I love what Romans 12:6 says. It says, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. Now, while you can't do everything well, you can do some things well. And in areas that you are weak, there are other people that are strong. Staying in your strengths and backfilling for your weaknesses will raise the level of excellence in your business. It's also going to keep you energized for the long haul. Over the years, I've discovered several options for getting these difficult things done. And the best part is, none of those options involve you having to do them yourself. The first thing that you can do with areas that you're weak is you can actually barter for help. So you could actually have someone barter services and help you in areas that you're weak, and you help them in areas that you're strong. So you might barter services or products for things that you want or need for your business. This is kind of a crazy example, but I experienced this years ago. I wanted to take ballroom dance lessons. Now, this was right out of college when Dancing with the Stars was all the rage, and it was such a big deal. And I thought, you know what? That sounds really fun. I want to learn the foxtrot and the rumba and swing and the waltz and the tango. That sounds awesome. So I signed up for dance lessons. Well, it wasn't long before I realized that is a very expensive hobby. And since I was just out of college and not even making an entry-level salary, I couldn't really afford this hobby. But you know what? I'd become great friends with my dance instructor. He had a side business back then doing fitness coaching, and he wanted to launch this new product. Well, I knew marketing, so I kind of worked out a deal with him. I said, how about this? I will help you market your new project if you will continue to teach me dance lessons. So hour for hour, we did a trade. He taught me dance lessons, and I was able to help him market and launch his new project with fitness. Here's what's so great about this. It was a win-win. He had a successful launch, and I got to learn the foxtrot and the rumba and the swing and have so much fun learning some dances. Now, that may be a silly example, but what can you barter in your business? Bartering is always an option. You can save time and money by bartering. Now remember, you have something to offer that other people need, and other people have something to offer that you need. So leverage that. Be sure to give yourself credit for the talents that you have and don't be afraid to offer them in exchange for the talents of other people. So bartering is the first option of what you can do with the areas that you're weak. Now the second option is you can actually outsource. Now maybe you don't have a mutual friend that you can barter with. You can always pay someone to do what you need. Now that's called outsourcing, and it's a great way to get some stuff done. Now before you start objecting with all of your complaints about not having the money, just hear me out. I'm not recommending that you spend money you don't have. I'm not recommending you take out loans. You know I would never do that. Instead, I want you to go make more money to pay for the thing that you're going to outsource. So for example, I spoke with someone recently who needed help with taxes. Let's say that you, like her, need a tax professional for your business, which you do, by the way. But let's say you don't have the $500 or so it would cost to hire a CPA. I want you to go out and find a way to earn $500 extra doing your thing in order to pay for the accountant. When you do this, you stay in your strengths and you do what you love and you protect your business because you've hired a professional to do what they love and what they're good at. Again, this is a win-win scenario. So paying to have something outsourced, especially those things that are really important for your business, like taxes, is money well spent. Now, in addition to bartering and outsourcing, the third option you have as a solution for your weaknesses is to automate. You can automate some of the things that you spend time doing currently. There are probably things that you do for your business that you don't want to, and you don't have to. For example, other than a few spontaneous posts of family pictures, I don't particularly enjoy keeping up with social media. Now, if you use social media occasionally just for fun to scroll the internet memes and keep up with friends, that's great. But if your business, like mine, is built on social media, then you have to maintain it consistently as a critical part of your operations. Now, because social media is so important for my brand and my business, and because my schedule is crazy and I can't trust myself to keep up with the frequency needed, I just automate it. Every Monday, I write and schedule all of my posts for the entire week. Then, as the week goes on and I get busy writing or speaking or traveling or shooting videos like this one, my social media upkeep doesn't suffer. My post automatically post several times a day, and I don't even have to think about it or worry about it. So what things in your business are taking up your time, but they don't have to? What can you automate? How much time could you save if you programmed all of your social media in advance? Or maybe you preset your email marketing. Even if you can't automate something entirely, you can save time and energy with the different apps and tools and resources out there. They're changing and improving every single day. It just takes a quick internet search and you can find one that can work for you. You can also ask other women what tools they use in their business as well. That might be a great solution for you. You can streamline everything from billing and invoicing to scheduling and record keeping. And when you systemize parts of your business that you're currently doing yourself, you give yourself a precious gift, more time. Now, another option for you is to delegate. You can delegate some of the tasks you're currently doing yourself to someone else. You might be able to have people around you that can help you in those areas. For example, I have countless memories of the cake shop where mom delegated tasks to me, even when I was younger. For example, there is a type of border that you make on cakes. I'm sure you've seen this if you've bought a cake. They don't just ice the top and the sides. They do a little border, a little frame or edge, and it's called a shell border. It's a pretty simple thing to learn, and I learned it at the age of 9 or 10. So mom would let me put shell borders on cakes. I also remember making boards, boxing cakes, and blowing up balloons. However, I will tell you, I couldn't really be trusted with the balloons because I would very frequently suck in the helium and then talk like a chipmunk, so I couldn't really be trusted with that. But here's the thing, mom could delegate to me even as a child. As business owners, I know that we are control freaks. No one loves our business like we do, and no one can do it as well as we can. But that's the problem. We can't get out of the weeds of the day-to-day stuff and every dang detail of what's going on. We won't even give up things we aren't good at. And as a result, growth slows and the business suffers. Now, if you have some competent and trustworthy team members who can help you, that's going to be the quickest way to take some things off your plate. If you have employees, you can entrust some of these tasks and details to them. Give them instructions, and then without micromanaging them, let them do it. Now, if your team members are not competent and trustworthy, then you've got a bigger problem on your hands anyway.
You can even reframe what you mean by employee. Like when I was a kid helping my mom, you might have some cooperative, competent kids at home. So don't hesitate putting them to work, filling boxes or sticking on labels. You might be surprised to find that your kids actually enjoy doing some of those things that you need to get done, especially if you give them a little money or ice cream or a special treat. And here's a free bonus. You actually help your kids by instilling confidence and work ethic. I know a lot of adults who credit their work ethic to being in the family business as a young kid. I know I certainly do. Now, another option is to simply ask for help. Now, this is a little different than bartering or outsourcing or delegating. You're just going to ask someone to help you. Now, I know it can be hard to put your pride aside and ask for help, but I promise you, there are going to be people around you that want to help you. Now, you might be surprised at how many people are willing to lend a hand when you need it. In fact, many people are honored when you approach them for help with something that they're really good at. So just do it. There might be some things you can take care of simply by asking someone. For example, as a part of my planned giving, I give away a percentage of my time to coach small business owners for free. Now, I also know a woman who lets people shadow her on the job for the day. Most people, if they're able, love to help someone a little earlier in their career or dream. Sometimes putting your pride aside can really pay off. You know, I have an experience that I remember from high school that really stuck with me around this whole idea of asking for help. I was on the track team, and my senior year, my coach decided that he was going to take our entire women's track team to a Girl Scout team building day. And so we go to this day, and we do all these ropes courses and trust falls, and at the end of the day, it was dark outside, and we had one last activity. So we were in this building, and they asked us to line up single file, and then they blindfolded us. They asked us to put our right hand on the shoulder of the girl in front of us in line. And then they led us outside. They took us to a maze where we were separated, and they put our hand on a rope. Now, here was the objective. They said, you've got to follow the rope along the maze until you get out. Now, we didn't know what the end would look like because we were blindfolded. We had to feel the rope as we went. It would go around trees, but you just had to keep hanging onto that rope. So they put all of our hands on the rope, and they told us to start. So we're all walking through. I'm following the rope. I can't see where I'm going. None of the girls can. But they kept saying, if you need help, just raise your hand. If you need help, we'll help you. And of course, me, I'm 17 with super ego, got something to prove. I'm like, oh, absolutely not. I am getting out of this maze, and I am not asking for help. And I'm going to get out first. Well, then I hear someone, Tiffany got out. I'm like, dang it. I've got to find the end of this maze. So I keep going, following the rope. I'm getting lost. I'm getting turned around. Can't find my way out. The whole time they're saying, if you need help, just raise your hand. I'm like, I'm not asking for help. I can do this myself. Then I hear more and more names of girls getting out of the maze. Rebecca got out. Tanya got out. Ashley got out. I'm like, what the heck is my problem? How are they finding the end of this maze? Well, eventually, it was down to me and one other girl. And I thought, okay, this is embarrassing. I cannot be last. I guess I'll just ask for some help to get out of here. So I raised my hand. They come over and they said, you're out. That was the way out of the maze, was to ask for help. Now that clearly stuck with me because I'm still talking about it years later. But here's what it taught me. Pride really can get in our way sometimes. Sometimes you just need to set your pride aside and ask for help. You never know what help is available to you. All you have to do is ask. As Oprah Winfrey says, you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. Amen to that. Now, the last option of what you can do with your weaknesses is maybe my favorite. It's to simply ignore it. That's right. You can just ignore it. There are going to be things that feel overwhelming or that you're not good at, and you can just ignore them. That's always an option. There are so many things that we stress over that really don't deserve our nerves. Maybe you didn't do something on your list that you wanted to do, or you intended to do, or you planned to do. So what? Let's say, for example, you wanted to send Christmas cards to all of your customers, but you didn't get around to it. Or maybe you wanted to decorate your booth at the craft fair so cute and perfect, but it turned out really plain. Or maybe you wanted to put all new photos on your website of your products, and the lighting turned out terrible, and you had to use the old photos. You didn't do something on your list that you wanted to do, or intended to do, or planned to do. So what? You didn't write Christmas cards because you were too busy fulfilling actual orders. That's a good thing. Your booth at the craft fair looks simple, but you know what? People are seeing your products, so get over it. Your plan for new photos on your website didn't turn out right, so you have to use old ones. Let it go. If something on your list is not turning out right or not working out or just all around stressing you out, ask yourself if it has to be done. I mean, really has to be done. Other than paying taxes, more often than not, I bet it doesn't. You can ignore it and move on to doing more of what you love. So there you go. There are several great options of what you can do with your weaknesses. You can barter, outsource, automate, delegate, and ask for help. And none of those involve you doing those things yourself. And of course, you could always ignore them. So let's put this into practice. I want you to list everything you have to do for your business. And then I want you to circle all of the tasks that fall within your strengths, or maybe they're things that only you can do. For every item that isn't circled, I want you to write out to the side what you're going to do with it. Are you going to automate it, or outsource it, or barter, or ask for help, or maybe even ignore it? If you're going to involve someone else to help you, write the name of that person. And then you've got a list of things for you to do and things for other people to help you with. That's the action item for this lesson. I want you to write out your to-do list and then separate your strengths from your weaknesses, and write out next to your weaknesses what you're going to do with them. When you apply this to your business, you can do more of what you love and less of what you don't.
Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you want to get more training lessons just like this one, well, you don't want to miss joining my Business Boutique Academy the next time it opens. You can join our waitlist and find out more information by clicking the link below.